roll the days to kind of give you an understanding of all about electric vehicle charging infrastructure, as well as the vehicles, how they charge, from the transmission lines into a panel box. Jamie's an expert on that, that's the secondary side. But I'm just gonna try to teach you the basics of what types of questions to ask so that client takes you seriously, what your responsibility is, what their responsibility is, showing them that it's a partnership to have a streamlined ease of installation for this new technology. So if we can have that pulled up. First of all, anybody in here own an electric car?
Not yet.
Yes.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, a few people. Do you guys love it?
Love it.
Yeah, fast,
So, yeah.
high technology. Has anybody ridden in an electric vehicle?
Yeah.
More hands going up. Did you guys like it?
Yeah.
Did you get out with a smile on your face? Very quiet. Great. I've been driving EV for 7 years. I love it. My children, I have 4 children, 3 girls and a prince, and they don't know internal combustion engines. So they've only driven in, ridden in, drove electric vehicles, and you're going to see that a lot of the younger generation are going to move to this technology. 1, because it's cool. 2, because it has everything that they can upload their songs right through their dashboard. They can watch their movies while they're waiting when they're charging. And they're already in, the technology isn't too far out of reach for them. How many of you have used an electric charger? Was it easy?
Charging station for the car.
Yep. Good, good. So real quickly on that, there has been a large problem, and it's being addressed by companies like ours, that there's downtime, meaning that they pull up to a location and maybe there's 5 chargers there, but only one of them's working. And what's the software provider saying? We have a 99% uptime on that charging station. And that's not really true, right? But what we're doing, what we do, we have 1-hour SLAs. We work with local mom and pop shops. So we're keeping the technology in the area where the chargers are being placed. Why? Because if something happens, we want to get somebody out there quickly, right? And not only that, we want to make sure that that person that's putting in that charger, he may know 30 or 40 other people in that community that he's doing work for, and he can introduce you to those individuals. All right, commercial level 2, Electrify EVSE. Just go ahead, next slide. All right, this is just a glossary of terms, right? AC, DC, alternating current, which was Nikola Tesla. DC, direct current, okay? AC is considered for like level 2 charging, which you see over here. It's from a panel box, doesn't need a transformer per se, unless you're gonna do quite a bit. But it's basically coming from the service panel, just similar to the service panel that you have at your home. These are some of the things that you'll want to know. You'll want to understand each of these glossary terms. You've got the charging level, meaning is it a 120 that you get with a car that gives you 5 miles in an hour that you can plug it at your home? Or is it a level 2 charger? Or is it a DC fast charger, right? So 30 minutes on a charge potentially can get you 100 miles, depending on the car. The connector, obviously, that's the hand piece that connects into the car, that communicates with the onboard charging computer and the charger itself. EVSE, electric vehicle supply equipment, right? That's what a charger really is. It is the middleman between the power transformation that's coming from the power lines into the charger and then to your car. So the equipment that brings the energy from the transmission lines into your car is called EVSE, Electric Vehicle Service Equipment. EVSP, service providers. So that's what we do. We provide the service that you need to get it installed. If you have equipment that's already out there, a lot of them hasn't been touched. You may come to somebody that says, I've got 4 chargers on this lot, and I've never had somebody look at it. Well, that's an opportunity for a service contract. If you have that, if you are now that gatekeeper that every year you're going to have somebody make sure that that's working, what's going to happen when they need a new charger? They're going to come to you. You are the incumbent. It's very difficult to knock out the incumbent. Right? Next slide, please. EV, we all know what that is. Battery electric vehicle, that's a full electric. Fuel cells, internal combustion engine, it's what a lot of people are driving now. Plug-in hybrid, that means that potentially they have maybe 30 miles on their new Jeep that they can charge, and they can just use the electric to drive to church or drive to the grocery store. They can come back and they can charge that back up so that they're not using their fuel, right? Hybrid, regenerative braking. You're driving down a hill, you press on the brake, that's going to give you more miles of energy. Load management. Now these are some of the terms that you're going to want to use with your site contacts. Load management. Proactively planning of if they have a fleet of vehicles, right? When's the best time to charge them? We have peak times, we have middle times, and we have off peak, super high peak, super low peak. You know, these are the types of things that you're going to want to understand. Onboard charger. Electric vehicles can charge 2 ways. Level 1 and 2, or AC charging, or direct current, which is, you know, that heavy 50, 60, 120 kilowatt, 180 kilowatt, 360 kilowatt charging. The onboard charging computer only works on level 2 charging, right? Everybody's heard stories that there could be problems if you charge your car for too long, or if you put it on a fast charger and it damages the battery, right? What the onboard charger does is it communicates with the electric vehicle charger, and it connects with the car. And the car communicates to the charger and says, hey, I'm a Ford Mustang, I can charge at 9.6 kilowatts in a level 2 situation. And the EVSE is going to talk to it and say, okay, well, I'm going to give you 9.6. The EV Bolt can only charge at 6.5. So again, when you plug it in, the car is going to communicate, and it's going to say, to protect you, I'm only going to give you 6.5 kilowatts per hour. Duty cycle, right? That's meaning, if you're a fleet, when's the best time to charge? Is it going to be when everybody comes in at 5 o'clock? Maybe not. Maybe those individuals aren't going to drive that car again until 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, at 11 p.m., most power companies go to something called a super off-peak time, right? So instead of spending 13 cents per kilowatt, you'll be spending 0.03 cents per kilowatt, right? Everyone's different. Sometimes it's 0.4, sometimes it's 0.2. There's some out there that will give you 480,000 kilowatts as long as you charge between the hours of 12 p.m. and 5 a.m. They'll give you that for a year. So you'd be charging your cars for, again, these are just terms that you're going to want to start learning, and I'll explain why. Electric load profile, it's a building. How much are they currently using? How much can they afford to spend before they start getting to a point where they're going to get charged for using too much electricity? Demand charge. That's what happens when you spend too much of your electricity profile. They will take a peak, and I have a slide for that. They're going to take the largest amount of charging you used in one day, or a large amount of power that you used in one day through that 30-day cycle, and they're going to get you on a demand charge, and they'll charge you that amount, and everyone is different. You just have to understand that these are the words that you're going to want to look into to each of the power providers. Next slide, please. As I was talking about earlier, on a 3.3 kilowatt, that's basically your home charger, the one that you can plug into a 120 volt. And that's gonna give you around 10 to 15 miles, and that's being very gracious to it. My car only takes 7 kilowatts an hour per hour on my AC charger, my just plug-in 120. 9.2 kilowatt, you're gonna get 25 to 35. Now that's actually a little askew. Even a 7.2 kilowatt to a 9.5 kilowatt, it's gonna give you a little better range. These are national numbers. These aren't specific to each individual charger. But it's gonna give you between 25 and a 9.2 kilowatt charger, you're gonna be more over the range of 40 to 45 miles per hour. The 19.2 kilowatt, obviously that's gonna be a little bit more powerful. You're gonna look between 65 to 80, I think would be a very general number depending on all the type of different design vehicles that are out there. 50 kilowatt, within 30 minutes, you're gonna be around 100. In an hour, you're gonna be anywhere between 150 and 180. Now we're talking fast, super fast charging, the 150s and up to the 350s, and you can see that those will give you fast charging opportunities at a very quick rate. Again, just the miles added. Do you have something to say?
And I wanted to add something on the DC fast, like you're seeing all the car commercials come out, and they're saying, oh, I can charge in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or something like that. That is true in ideal situations. One thing to remember in that aspect is when it comes to the DC fast is actually regulated by the battery management system in the car. Right now, a lot of the cars are limited to how much on that DC fast they can take. A Nissan Leaf is at 45 kilowatt intake, so even if you plug into a 120 kW charger, that charger in the car is only going to accept 45. The new Ford Lightning is 150 kilowatt. The new Silverado, Denali, Hummer, the Porsche Taycan that's out right now, those are 350. So right now, those are really the biggest battery packs that can accept these big chargers, these 350s. And you're going to see these chargers go up to 600 kilowatt, a megawatt when it comes to some of your Class 8 trucks, the big rigs, delivery trucks, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is kind of a grid of what we were talking about earlier, right? Here's my Nissan Leaf up there, which I own. We have the AC charger is coming from the grid to a service panel. You plug in the car. The EVSC communicates with the onboard charging computer and the battery pack. Onboard charging computer is going to designate how much of the energy that this charger is going to be able to deliver to your car. So every car manufacturer has designed their cars differently, right? There is no specific set design, So some of them will be able to take 5.5 kilowatts, and some of them will be able to take up to 19.2 kilowatts. And it's all about the onboard charging computer that is deciding with the charger how much it can accept. Level 1, level 2, DC fast. Next slide, please. Again, kind of just trying to educate you on where the energy is coming from. So we have the transmission line, right? These are the wires that we see. That's how the power is transmitted. It goes to a transformer, which is that cylinder box here, that is connected, not like this in the wire, but it's usually underground, right? To the charge point, to the point to the car, right? You have power flow coming from the service operator into the charge point and into the car. Why do I say charging point? That's what it is. It's a charging point. It's a place to charge. Once that these two communicate, this is single phase or 3-phase. So level 2 charging, AC charging, is normally single phase. DC fast is 3-phase. Your AC requirements, your protection. So these chargers do have lightning protection. So if the grid were to go down, or if it was to be struck by lightning, it would turn off, communicate with the back end, so we'd get somebody out there to make sure that it wouldn't fry up, and then we could turn it back on. The power comes in to the EMI filter. This is for a DC fast now. And it has a rectifier, or what we call a, Jamie, what's the word for the battery pack?
Power module.
A power module, right? That's the rectifier. That takes the AC current and adjusts it into direct current, right? So higher power. And then, as you can see here, that's where that takes place. So it comes into the rectifier, it increases it, it goes from DC to DC, and converts it into the battery management system that Jamie was talking for DC, battery management system. So again, just like on the level 2, it's going to communicate with it and say, this is how much I can take, and this is for how long I can take it. At 80%, it's going to start ramping down to protect the basic hard banging that direct current is doing, right? So it tapers it off so that you don't have any damage to your battery.
And on that, I was gonna say, on a DC fast, ideally, car would charge to 80%. You really don't wanna sit on a DC fast past that 80%, because what'll happen is, it'll start tearing down the DC fast. It'll actually only give you maybe 5 kilowatt output, because it is protecting the battery from the battery management system. So ideally, if you do charge on the DC fast, just have your car, and on the cars you can set this to 80%, where once it hits 80%, it turns off that charger.
Yeah, these
And
cars
that
will get smarter.
extend the longevity of your lithium-ion batteries that are in the cars.
Just like we do with cell phones, right? They say that we should only charge them to 80%, and that we should not, if it's under 20%, we should try to keep it around 20. We don't want it to go too far underneath that, right? Protects the integrity of the battery. Next slide, please. This is your all-tel charger, right? So we have 4G availability, we have Ethernet and Wi-Fi. So 4G basically means it stands alone. It means that when that company doesn't have to be open, I don't have to have anything on that site. I don't have to have a building. I don't have to have relationships with that owner. All I have to do is have them allow me to put a charger there, and my back-end software is going to communicate through 4G technology, right? So using the towers. Also, we'll work with Ethernet, meaning that maybe you have a client that does want it connected to their building, and you could use an Ethernet cord for the back-end software, and it connects right into their current system configuration, and it allows them to use that to get an update. If charger goes down, it's talking through the Ethernet instead of through 4G, which is honestly, I mean, it does add to the installation side because it is a wire, but it works very well, because sometimes the 4G will go down, and if it goes down, that charger's not communicating, right? The back-end software is going to say, I got a problem. And the problem's going to be, I don't think I can charge somebody. So we're going to be able to have that alert. So when that pops up, we're going to know it before that site host owner knows it, right? So when they get a call from us, hey, your charger's down, we're sending somebody out to take a look at that, they're going to be like, wow, you guys really just knocked it out of the park. Because everything they're reading right now is that charger uptime is not happening, right? So Wi-Fi basically just means that they have chargers on their location, they're using a Wi-Fi signal from their office, and that's what's connecting the charger.
And also on charger software and connectivity, what we've seen is 4G is ideally the best when you're looking at it, because when you go to Wi-Fi or you go to a LAN connection where it's direct connection for that internet connection, you have to work with your site host, your clients, because a lot of times you have to get firewall permissions with their IT department, so they can string out the length of time for an installation and getting it set and ready. We've seen that in multiple occasions, so what we do is typically recommend the 4G as long as you do a cell test to see if the cell signal strength is good enough, because if there's any hiccup in that back end communication, like Andrew was saying, it will not charge your car because it can't communicate to that back end to release that charge.
River is going to be with us after this today, after our presentation, and he's going to be able to go over more information about the Altel Level 2s and the DC Fast. I do have them up here as placeholders, but the real expert on that particular equipment is going to be River, and he'll be following us today. Next slide, please. Again, Level 2 charger, maximum speed of up to 50 amps, creating 12 kilowatts. That's going to charge rapidly. So this is a very good unit that's available to you. It's not only what we call future proofing, right? Right now we have cars that are going between 7 kilowatts, 5 kilowatts, 10 kilowatts, 9.6. Well, what happens when the next generations of vehicles come out? They can get faster chargers and they have bigger batteries. Well, now they're already future proof for the next 15 to 20 years, right? Because battery technology is not going to jump that much further. But they are going to get a little bigger, and they're going to be able to accept things a little faster. So future proofing is something that this unit is providing you. Bi-directional power conversion. Anybody know what that means? Bi-directional means that when I plug my car in at home, my charger will talk to my panel box, and I can run my house off of my charger. Try to. Good. Yeah. So bi-directional charging, right? So your power goes out at home. Your power's out. But you come home and you still have 200 miles on your car. You still have kilowatt energy in your vehicle. You'll plug that car in and you'll walk into your home and your lights will be on and your neighbor's going to be peeking through that window. And he's going to say, how in the heck do you have your microwave running? Why is it not so cold in your house? Why is your air conditioner on? Right? This is the technology that's coming. I've sold these. They're out there. Right? Wow. Not only that, if your power is not out and you decide to come home at 5 p.m., you know where I'm going. You can sell that power back to the electric company. Right? So are we going to sell it to them when it's 0.03 kilowatt? Oh, no. We're gonna send that power back at 3 p.m., 5 p.m. when they're super peak hours. So we're getting that 10 kilowatt, 10 cent per kilowatt. And we're gonna dissipate the whole thing. And then at midnight, we're gonna have our charger turned back on and charge our car. So at 6 a.m., I'm ready to go. And when I come home, I'm gonna dissipate that energy back in, right? Bi-directional charging, it's pretty amazing, guys. The vehicles, not all of them support it. It's still early, right? It's very early. But this technology is the future. Again, this is during a blackout, I'm gonna switch on. Basically, there's a breaker inside the mailbox that says, hey, I got power. Turn me on, right? Next slide, please. This is just some of the stuff that you're gonna meet out there. This is some of your competition, right? I've worked with all of them. I've worked with them. They all have their problems, right? We'll be able to show you the holes to shoot through them, right? Next slide, please. More of the same, right? Dual charging stations, single. Some of they want to look pretty, so they put themselves in a big fancy box. This technology isn't any different than this one. Isn't any different from this one. But they use more sheet metal, so they're going to cost you more. Next slide, please. You guys see anything up there you like? Yeah. I like it too, because I've charged in the rain. Right? Adding a display. Let's say it's a bank. You know, maybe you want to sell some advertising. Maybe you have an electrician that you work with that you want to put their logo up there. You know. So you have the ability to do that. You'll have the ability to put out a canopy to protect the charger, right? Get an extra light. On the back side, you could put a TV of some sort, and you could offer You could offer anybody the opportunity because ROI, right? Return on investment, right? If you're just selling kilowatts, it ain't gonna get there very fast. But if you're able to get $150 from a local chamber member that wants to advertise but doesn't have a bunch of money to throw at it and put it on a big billboard, why not come to you and get $150 back from your investment or from that customer's investment? Or you charge that guy $150, put it on there only for $100 now. So there's a lot of ways to skin that cat, right? These are, EV fast. So you have DC fast charger, DC fast charger, and again, you have your opportunity to do the marketing. I think you guys have a media background or something like that. I don't know. It seemed to be pretty loud earlier today. Next slide, please. All right. This is how I sell my equipment when I'm talking to somebody. I've sold millions of dollars of electric vehicle charging equipment, millions. What do? I identify what their problem is. How many vehicles are you going to need to charge first? Right? The next thing I do is I find out, do you guys have a budget? Do you have a plan? Who's in charge of this plan? Well, I really don't have anybody. I'm just a fleet manager that the boss said that I have to get electric vehicle charging. Well, now that's put you again in a wonderful position. You are going to not only make that fleet manager look amazing because you're going to show them the budgetary numbers that they're going to look at. You're going to show them the environmental issues that go into electric vehicle charging and is going to allow them to start saying publicly, hey, we're moving into a greener position. Stockholders love hearing that stuff, right? Trying to meet their net zero resiliency plans that they don't even know that they need. But you're going to be the person that says it to them. Your competition isn't saying this stuff. That's why I've been successful. Now they're going to put you started with a gatekeeper, right? The person that says, check this guy out before he comes and talks to me. That person's going to turn around and tell the person, hey, you need to talk to this person. Why? Because they're telling me things nobody else has even talked to me about. They're going to put me on a program and a plan for us to move forward, to get our resiliency down, to impress our stockholders, to move us from using lower our emissions, energy credits, software, right? And once you're in that seat, they're not going to move away from you. I guarantee it. The biggest compliment, and I want you to call John the first time you hear this. Ma'am, I didn't know much about electric vehicle charging until I talked to you. And in the 30 minutes that you sat and talked to me, I learned more than the 2 to 3 hours that I sat with the bigger companies. You're going to hear it, and I want you to call John, and I want you to call me. I'm going to do my little dance. I'll show you my little dance at the end. All right. Like I was saying earlier, confirm if their organization is ready to commit staff and financial resources to this certain level. That's a great question to ask somebody. Do you guys have the money to do this? Have you thought far enough ahead to do this? Yeah. What's that number? How much do you have? It seems like a very invasive question. It's not. It's not at all. It's a straightforward question to see how serious they are, right? Assure that diversity, equity, and inclusion are incorporated into your goals for supporting their fleet electrification. It's a very powerful statement. I'm here to make sure you guys succeed. From your position, when you talk to a person that they don't have any idea of what electric vehicle charging is, and you come in and tell them that, we're going to make sure you succeed. And we have the tools that you need to be successful. Bless you. Better plans include short-term goals, right? You're going to hear a lot of things from people that say, we're going to do our EV first. And I see it all over. They're going to buy one electric vehicle, and they're going to see how it goes, right? Well, what we want to make sure that they understand is, yep, we'll help you with your first one, but we want to make sure that we're future-proofing for the future, right? We're not going to run the wire, but we're going to run the conduit. We're going to design what their future is going to look like. And when it's time to put that stuff in, they're going to call. They're gonna call you. Right, now you've got 4 or 5 sales off of that one sale that you did a couple, maybe 6, 7 months ago. But you have all the infrastructure in that you can have that built up very quickly for them, and they know that they can move forward quickly. And uniform. EV first pledge, right? Ask them, have you guys done your EV pledge first? If they don't, well, let me tell you about it. It means you're gonna do one, and you're gonna give everybody in that organization an opportunity to drive that car. Every one of them, right? Take it home for the day. Tell me what you think. Once they start comparing apples to apples with maintenance cost, how fun it is, how exciting the people that drive it are, they're gonna buy more. And they're gonna put in their budget next year, not only the cars, but they're gonna put in the charging because they already have the future-proof design plan that you provided for them last year. You're gonna see it grow. Next slide, please.
And I was gonna say on that, Andy,
Oh,
we've got a client that's a power provider in Georgia. And every year they ask me, hey, I need budget numbers for EV charging, because every year they're adding more because they're adding more electric vehicles to their fleet. So like Andrew's saying, future-proof it, having those conversations with them, they're gonna call you. And it's just gonna be repetitive. And this is a power provider. They have all the people there that can install them, do everything for them, but they'd rather call us than do it because we've been with them for so long.
Oh, I didn't get to say it. This is some DC fast. This is some charger modules, right? So you, like with this type of unit, and Rivet is gonna talk more about this, but you can start at simply a 50 or 60 kilowatt charger, low end, right? But as it comes, you'll add these power packs to it, and you'll get it up to 600 kilowatts, right? So as you don't have to pull a new wire, you don't have to break new concrete, you just have to add the power modules that effectively work better for your ROI. Thank you. It's got a pretty picture there. Anybody see advertising up there? You guys a media company by chance?
That's what I was told.
Interesting concept. Smart advertising, right? Everything that the gentleman in the beginning was saying. I walk by this charger, I get a ping. Don't you need me? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. And I like waterfalls. So let's have you look at some waterfalls. Oh, and by the way, I was looking at some other stuff, and maybe that pops up there too. So again, advertising is huge. It really is. You're gonna see the opportunity too that maybe this is at a Kroger. Maybe you land something like a Domino's. So what happens when that site host, who owns the Domino's, has somebody come up and they charge, and it says, hey, did you charge at our location last week? Well, yes I did. Well, why don't we give you a $2 voucher? Right? Why don't, if you come back 10 times over the next month, why don't I give you a free large 2-item pizza? Who's not going to use that charger every time? I know I will. Right? There's laws that are requiring that the individual has a knowledge of how much they're paying for a charge, how long they've been on that charger, what is the green credits on that charger. And when you have the display, like especially out in California, they require that the display is there, that they can see and compare how much they're going to be spending. Got it. Again, just like we were talking, adding power modules, right? You're gonna see in the future, you're gonna see that this is how the energy is grabbed, how it's distributed. Here's the power banks are covered here, and this is just to demonstrate the technology, right? So we have power lines that were drawn over from the power cabinet, charges the equipment. We add power modules into this to get it up to that megawatt, potentially in the future. choosing a site for direct current fast charging is resource intensive. We need to look at the traffic patterns. What should I put here, folks? Should I put a fast charger or should I put level 2s? Well, you got 4 million people driving through that in a month, right? So when you come to the guy and you say, I looked at your traffic patterns and you guys see 20,000 people pass your location daily. 3% of the market in that area is probably EV. You probably want to do a fast charger, right? Proximity to roadways. The current infrastructure bill that I like to call them Biden bucks. Biden bucks, they're requiring that this first year that you're within a mile of a corridor, an infrastructure corridor, a green corridor. They'll pay that site host up to 80%. 80% of the cost of the infrastructure and the charging and the software. And if you're not getting hit for 5 years. What's nearby? What's nearby this location? Oh, we got coffee shops. We got a lot of different things. I can go and grab a snack. I'm gonna be there for 30 minutes. I'm gonna go watch a movie. I'm gonna be there for 2.5 hours. Do I need a direct DC fast there? No, I don't. I'm gonna be there for 3 hours. But if I'm along the express route and I know that I'm traveling I'm an East Coast person, I apologize. Well, let me think. If I'm going from the Hoover Dam to here, right? I know that I want something within a mile off the expressway. Something that I'm going to be able to charge at fairly rapidly, get back in my car, and get to where I need to be. And people, we've been growing up with this idea, this is going to come off incorrectly, but my wife will drive on E. Right? She doesn't know what that yellow light means in fuel means. I like it full. When I get in the car, I like it full. But we got to meet in the middle, right? So what we're learning now is that the cars are so smart that when you say I need a charge, it's going to say, all right, go to this charger, and you only actually need 70 miles to get where you're going. So let's give you 100. Let's not give you a full charge because you really don't need it. And when you get there, we'll find another charger for you. And we'll get you full for your ride home or whatever you're going to be doing that day. I'm a little off script. That doesn't sound anything like me, does it, Jamie? No. So how is this going to work for you, right? You're going to use these tools and you're going to say these types of things to the site host, and you're going to say there's some responsibility for you. And the reason people are going to come to you is because I've done the legwork to find out that 20,000 cars are coming by here daily, and that somebody can grab a cup of coffee or go watch a movie or things of that nature. There's a lot of things that you need to worry about too. How close to the street are you going to be? There's going to be easements involved. There's going to be work with the power provider with their incentives, not only just their incentives, but they're going to be putting in that infrastructure for you, right? So you need to coordinate a lot with them. What's important when you're determining, how much they're going to be able to, how many people are going to do it, or what size chargers you need. Demand for charging, i.e. number of vehicles per day and what type of vehicles are they, right? Because we need to know how much they can take, what types of cars. Is it a very affluent area, right? Are people buying Teslas, and are they buying i4s? Are they buying, the Ford Lightnings? Or, as we recently saw, that used vehicles, used EVs, are going to be getting tax credits. So there's going to be families out there that are going to, I've only bought used. I've never bought new. But I bought a used EV. And my battery technology isn't as grand as the new i4 or the new VinFast car that's coming out. So I don't, and in my neighborhood, none of us have fancy EVs. So do I need a DC fast charger that can charge something in 10 minutes? No, my technology can't do that. So we gotta make sure we're aware of the groups that we're using and we're marketing to. Demand profile. How much energy are they currently using at their facility? And how much is available for them to install electric vehicle charging? Now, they're probably maxed out. There are incentives through local power providers that will upgrade their infrastructure at the location for minimal cost. Because what do they see? If you're putting chargers on there, we'll allow you to use more of our energy, right? So there's a lot of incentives that that the site hosts can take advantage of, and you're going to want to know that kind of stuff. You're going to want to go to each location. Who's your power provider, Mr. Site Host? Cobb EMC. Well, Cobb EMC gives you $500 for every level 2 charger port that you put up there. Well, that's great because it only costs $850 for the level 2 that I put up there. So now they've got money coming back to them, right? Again, making sure that you talk with your power providers because they're going to have, not only your power providers, but your site hosts, because they're going to have procurement requirements. You know, potentially they have a pattern that they have to do, right? Maybe they have to get 3 quotes. So you're going to call them and say, you know, hey, what's your procurement process? Well, I got to get 3 quotes. Okay, you call back a week later. Did you get your 3 quotes? No, not yet. Well, let me give you those 3 quotes. No, I'm just joking. But then you may run into that where you're saying, well, I knocked it out of the park with these guys. The guy loves me. I don't know why he's not buying yet. Well, you already asked the question, is there a procurement process? And you asked what that process was. So now you can call back in a week and say, I understand that your procurement process is this, where you're at. And now you're not going to discourage yourself. You're still on the right plane to be successful. Next slide, please. Oh gosh, look at that. All right. This is charging profile stuff, right? This is kind of getting in the weeds a little bit. Right. Level 2 charging, charge time, if they push the car up to the charger, right? You're looking at 5 or 6 hours before that charger is going to be complete. DC fast, again, you know, it's much faster, but it costs a lot more money. And you have to make sure that the individuals understand that. Level 2 charging at a grocery store, right? They're normally going to be there. I have 4 kids. I spend hours at the Kroger that I go to. I know every single person there. But it's also escape of those 4 kids in my life. But I don't use the fast charger. I use the level 2. I only live 10 miles away. We're rural. So I just basically replace in that hour what I used to get there. When comparing apples to apples or one-to-one, many fast chargers can charge an EV more than 10 times faster than a level 2 charger. This means that in the same amount of time, a fast charger can serve more than 10 level 2 chargers, right? Because if it's taking them an hour, you can get people in and out within 30 minutes. And that's something you want to say to your site hosts. Hey, with a DC fast charger, if you've got all these people that are driving by there and you don't have the amenities that they're traveling for, you're going to be able to charge, you're going to have more hits on that charger, on a DC fast charger, than there is, we call it dwelling time. You're going to have less dwelling time on a fast charger, which is going to make sense to people because they're going to want to try to get as many hits as they can on that fast charger. But if they know that their people are going to be sitting there going to a movie or going to get coffee or going to get lunch or going to dinner, shopping. I don't know, when I shop, I use Amazon now, but that's just me. But most people will shop for anywhere. They usually know exactly what they're doing. They know what they're going for, right? And this is a little outside of the box. But what if that charger, we all have a media background, what if that is able to see that they were looking for red sweaters, crew neck sweaters, and they were able to see that person looked at red sweaters. Maybe you have a deal with the person that is at that site. Maybe they own a shop that sells red sweaters. Wouldn't it be great if when they went to go charging, they were able to see that they've got a sale on red sweaters today for people who are charging on their electric vehicle charger, again, they're gonna pay for that advertising for you. But it does increase the ROI and put some funds in your pocket. Anything you want to add on this, Jim?
Yeah,
It's,
so one thing on this too, to consider from an installation and design standpoint. Right now, we have a project where they're looking to put in 12 level 2 stations, and the cost to do this is around $150,000 because of the length of runs and the amount of stations, upgrading power because their panel doesn't have enough power to power all these stations. So we're doing a cost comparison right now to actually put in 2 60 kilowatt DC fast chargers and actually do that with installation cheaper than putting in 12 level 2s and can service more cars. So when you're talking to clients, it's really good to understand what it's going to be used for. We can look at these different designs and scenarios from a cost perspective because it can. Sometimes somebody's putting in a lot of level 2s, maybe they don't need to. Maybe it's more cost effective to put in some level 2s and a DC fast, which comes out better because they can service more customers that way.
electric vehicle drivers are very habitual. If they like your charger, they're always gonna go to your charger. Always. Next slide, so. This is kind of what we were talking before, demands, right? Smart technology for the EV software, power grids, demand charges, peak shaving, right? So it's when you have a high EV charger, a high rate DC fast charger, it jumps up that power demand, that profile quickly. And it puts people into a situation where they're going to incur some charging demand costs. But the software that you would be able to use is smart charging. So you have your peaks and your lows, right? You have your peaks and your lows. And that's what the power company is looking for when it comes to demand charges. Like how much did you ask for at any particular time? But through the software, we're able to balance that, right? So we're able to say, all right, you've got five vehicles plugged in. Maybe it power shares through that so that keeps that profile down. Maybe not being 7.2, maybe it's only 5.5 between all those vehicles because it keeps the profile down. And ultimately, if it's a fleet customer, they're going to want to keep their profile low. Next slide, please. Here's commercial software. Can be used as a revenue and a marketing source, right? Utilize the charge of software for remote access. So if something goes down and you get a call from your customer or your site host and they say my charger's down, we're going to be able to go over the wire, OTW, over the wire, turn on and turn off that charger as long as we have communications, right? And if we don't, we'll send somebody out there to turn it on and turn it off. EV driver management, EV fleet management, integration and interoperability. Why do you think we would want to know the email address of the person that came to charge their car there?
We can email them information.
We can email them information. We can also play a game called Big Data. Big data is big money. As this technology is growing, there's going to be large government corporations that are going to want that information. Who is the holder of that information? Y'all are, right? I've got 4,000 dedicated emails for EV charging alone. What's that worth to you, Mr. Arena? I've got emails, I've got phone numbers, I've got how long they charged there. I've got the type of car that charged there. I've got the dwelling time that they sent there and what they came in and what they left with. These are big points of data for big data responsibilities. Everybody's asking for this equipment. I literally was on a phone call with the Department of Energy 2 weeks ago. They sent a massive email out to everybody in the country. Please tell me how much charging you're doing. Tell me what types of cars you're doing. Tell me how much energy you're doing. 14 people responded. 14 people. I asked the director of the Department of Energy, is that supposed to be in thousands? No, There's only 14 people across the country that had this information that we were requested, right? Some people that you see out there, EV Gateway, Green Lots, EV Connect, JuiceNet, these are all competition. They all a back-end software. You can easily go online and learn about all of them and the differences between them, but there's not much. There's not much. There is a robust infrastructure, back-end software that you're going to be using. Robust. It's going to do a lot of great things, especially on the media side. Basically, it provides the tools to monitor the charger, receive alerts, be able to communicate with somebody that's been sitting on that charger for 5 hours. Hey, this is only supposed to be, you're only supposed to charge on this thing for 2 hours. You need to get off or I'm going to charge you $500. Guys, you're going to see forks fly, you're going to see papers fly, the guys that go out to that parking lot move that car. What does that mean? That means that the person was waiting, didn't have to wait long. Right? We were able to get them onto that charger quickly. And now that we know this information, potentially that site host needs to add some more chargers. Who are they going to get those chargers from? Right. Y'all see it. What am I missing, Jamie? Open charge point protocol. There's two types of software out there. Helpful and not helpful. Right? Open charge point protocol is the helpful one. It's an open network. It's a standard that's being projected all throughout all electric vehicle charging companies, all manufacturers, saying that on open charge point protocol, if I don't like the software, if you have a customer that's currently running on an open charge point protocol, they didn't buy it through you, but they don't like that damn software company because they don't do a good job of getting back to me every time there's a problem. On open charge point protocol, now we can insert your software into the existing charger. Right? Closed charging, like some other groups out there that I don't want to mention charging, they're not so open. They're proprietary. So when that happens is you have to use their software, and if you don't like the software, tough cookies, because you can't put anything else on it. So you're going to be able to tell people we're an open charge point protocol company. That means that they have a charger out there that doesn't work very well. You've already signed a contract to meet out with them once a year that you're going to clean and make sure that charger's working properly, but it turns out the problem's really in the software, right? Loses connectability. Doesn't alert me when somebody's charging or if they have a problem. I can't tell people to get off my charger so somebody else can use it. Well, now, you just inserted your software into that. And what happens when they want to add new chargers? You got a charger and you got software. Right? Gene, what am I missing?
Well, one of the biggest things with
Dude,
charger
say
software
something.
providers is really right now there's a lot of them, the lack of support, lack of EV driver support, lack of back-end support. I've seen so many of them come out and customers call, hey, I need this fixed, and they send them an email, oh, we'll get to it in 2 to 3 days.
Or it's crickets.
Or it's crickets. Their software bounces. So the communication, even though it's got established communication, the back end bounces. And somebody comes in to try to charge that car, they plug in, they can't charge. What happens if you roll in turtle mode in your EV and you need to charge and this is the station and it doesn't work?
Anybody heard of turtle charge before? Or turtle mode? Oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's real funny when you're driving down the expressway and your car will only go 15 miles per hour.
And so in that scenario, I mean, the charger software is the most important piece of a charger in all actuality. That's the most service calls we get is because of communication with the chargers. Very seldom do you see anything else on a charger go down. The electricity going in it, the charger, the hardware, that works. It's robust. I mean, it just works. It's got what it needs. Level 2 charging, same situation. There's just not much that goes wrong with them, except for somebody dropping a handpiece and it gets broken or something, vandalism. That's it. But that communication between the charger and the back end is the most important piece when it comes to charging.
So there's advanced features on back-end software situations. Advanced features here includes a dashboard, basically something they can pull up on their phone, something they can pull up in the computer when their vice president says, hey, what's going on with these electric vehicle chargers? Oh, well, let me just grab this data for you, sir. Oh, would you like to export it from it? And would you like me to put it in a CD file and directly send it back to you? No, I don't. I just want to make sure they were working. Okay, they're working, and here's all the information of how much energy we spent, and we'll put this into our fiscal calendar for next year, because it's going to grow. Next slide, please. Ah, this is Jamie's side.
They'll be able to see it.
So this is kind of the flow. From the time that you've created the relationship with the customer and you've set the expectation that they're going to go ahead and put chargers in, this is what you're going to explain to them. This is the flow of the time that they decide on the hardware and decided that you are the best representative to move forward. The first thing they're going to do, you're going to introduce them with the chargers, you're going to find out how many they need, and you're going to say, okay, we put a plan in front of you, we put a design, this is how we're going to move forward. We'll gather all that pertinent data, the building designs, the incentives, the electrician that will do a site visit, right? We'll decide whether or not they need service upgrades, we'll do that coordination with the site host, and everything from after the site plan, it's all us. And we're gonna make you look like rock stars. We really will. You guys will be so clearly understanding what that process is, what their responsibility as the site host is, and what the responsibility that you're putting in front of them, and what our responsibility is to get those in the ground seamlessly. You're gonna understand that process, and this is basically how it is. So if there's service and utility upgrades, we're gonna have to call them, and we're gonna have to arrange that. We're going to have to say, hey, I need you to come out to this location, I need you to upgrade their service, and I need you to give me any incentives or any rebates that's going to allow them to put this stuff in affordably. From there, we do the service upgrades. Now, we work with a lot of energy providers, and we're the boots on the ground for them. So potentially they need a new panel. So we'll go in and do the work for them, right? So we'll coordinate all that for you. The service upgrades, the conduit and the wire. The conduit is obviously the wire, what holds the wire, right? It's the funnel. We always go a little bigger because potentially they want to do bigger chargers at that location next time. Okay, it's free.
Bruce, could you explain to them what's the turnaround time for the installations once you get the permits and everything approved?
That's a great question. So what is the turnaround time from the time that the customer decides that they want to move forward and going through permitting and making sure that all the upgrades are done? So, Jamie,
Yeah.
is that something that happens next day?
No. So in that process, once, we've done a site visit, we've got the estimate to the client of what that cost is gonna be, they approve it, they're ready to move forward. So what we're gonna do is submit engineering drawings. Takes probably a couple of weeks to get those drawings done.
Who does that for you?
Our engineers.
Your engineers do that for you.
So
It's convenient.
with that, once that's done, then we can apply for the permits. Permits are gonna be determined by each municipality. Every municipality, their time frame of pushing permits through can range from a couple of days to 6-8 weeks. So when you're talking with your client, definitely set expectations of this process. Once permits are finalized and we're actually doing boots on the ground and breaking ground, most guys can knock it out in a couple of days. DC fast, a little bit longer because you have to bring in equipment. You have to set those DC fast, you're using a boom truck or a forklift to drop that charger onto the pad, power modules, a little bit bigger expansion. So something like that on a DC fast, I would say, most of the time to get it fully in the ground, powered on.
Carry-out transformer. So if the location doesn't have the energy within their panel to put a DC fast charger in, and they're not going to have that, they're going to need to put a pad mount transformer, which is that box, that green box that you see on the corner between your house and the other person's house. That's where the power is coming from, the transmission line, right? When hurricanes happen and these types of high damage environmental disasters happen, like we had during hurricane season the last few months, a lot of the pad transformers get gobbled up by communities that need to replace them. And right now we're in one of those cycles. And with the agitation of electric vehicle charging and people doing that, it's difficult to get in. It's difficult. Yes, sir.
Is your turnaround time in sync with the international community as well, such as Canada's?
Now, give him the mic so they can start that again.
Is, is your turnaround time going to be the same from an international standpoint? We start with Canada and other places.
So we are in Canada, we are in all 50 states, and we're in South America. And every site is different. Every site is different. I can't give you that answer, and you guys have to realize that as well, because they're gonna ask you, how long is it gonna take? How soon can I get a site survey done for you? Well, why do you need a site survey? Why can't you just tell me? Because every site's different. I can't give you accurate information until I have somebody accurately taking that information and giving it to me. And as soon as I get that information, I guarantee you that you're gonna have that information immediately. So every site's different. You can't say to somebody, it's gonna, a home install, you can tell them. That's pretty quick. Power's there, hey, look, take a picture of your panel. Yep, you got 50 amps available. I can have somebody on Saturday. If you start promising people that you're gonna have chargers in the ground next week, it's a problem. It's a problem. So let's set expectations of, give them a little bit more time and then exceed that expectation. Hey, Mr. Sagamore, I know I told you that it's probably gonna be 3 or 4 weeks, but I just wanted to let you know that Jamie and his group is actually coming out tomorrow. And we're gonna put your charger in on Friday. What's the first thing they're gonna say to the next person that says, how hard was it to put your electric vehicle charger in? Well, they told me 8 weeks. They got it in 2. Right? We wanna build them with an example of, this is an accurate number, sir. This is an accurate number. 8 weeks for me to get all the equipment in. I've already got all this. I've already got the permitting. Your permitting group, let's say it's gonna take 10 days, so I have to wait at least 10 days for them to approve this contract. But from that 10 days, I hope that I can get this stuff in within this 6-week period that I'm telling you. Well, we got it in 2.
And also, in that time frame while we're waiting on the permit to be approved, once that quote is approved, we're going ahead and ordering material. Right now, on DC fast chargers, like Andrew was saying, you've got pad mount transformer, you also have switch gear. Lead time on switch gear is about the same as the pad mount transformers right now, if not longer. Working on quite a few right now, and it's setting that expectation, because right now the supply chain for these types of materials is so far backed up that it is causing installations to take a lot longer. This gentleman had a question.
Go for it.
Thank you.
I can retain about 2 minutes of your 2-hour presentation, so how can we get this presentation?
Cynthia, I think someone has asked a question.
We'll make sure everyone gets it correct, John.
Yes. Whoa. I've got this young guy on.
I guess you mentioned about the storms and everything like that. Is there going to be a time when these services, with solar, have a little panel there that can keep them going, even if a storm comes? Are you looking at that?
I've got a slide on. I appreciate it.
I can answer that one. So with the solar panels, you could, depending on the size of the solar farm, power some of your level 2s. Right now, you could use them to do some auxiliary kind of stuff on DC fast. But right now, the amount of kilowatts consumed with solar panels and charging and the amount of sessions that you're getting, it's not there yet unless you're really doing solar farms. Just a little solar panel can keep certain things lit up. And on the charger, it can also help with the communication. That would be key. The solar panels would help with that back-end software communication, keeping it alive, because that's just running off basically like a 12 volt on the internal side. So it can help, but it couldn't actually do a session unless you have a lot of them. Yes, sir.
I guess it was kind of a similar question, but how far are we with the cars, electric cars having solar panel in the windows and the doors or the material of the car? And will they kind of deplete, kind of like a hybrid, solar with the EV concept together?
So, like Tesla has a lot of solar panels on theirs, a lot of new car manufacturers done. Technology in solar panels has come a long way. But it'll kind of help you get a little more mileage as you're driving. You're not gonna see like a huge, increase because it has solar panels, but it will kind of compensate. And I think as the technology continues to grow, you will see more benefits with having the solar panels built into the panoramic rooftops that you're seeing in Tesla. I know Porsche's done it, and Volkswagen on the ID4 has those panoramic sunroofs. So as that solar technology pushes up, we'll be able to.
I got a couple questions over here, Jim.
Thank you, Andrew. I have like 2.5 questions. Okay. First question is, what would cause a charging station, one of ours, to malfunction? What would be one of the reasons?
Great question. There could be a couple things that it could have lost connectability. So potentially the back-end software is not communicating, and it's just offline. And that normally can be fixed over the wire. So through the software, we would be able to see that and start it up. The other thing would be that there's no power to the site, meaning that there's a blackout or a brownout at that location. One more thing I wanted to just throw out there is, John pulled me over and wanted to say something that was extremely important. You guys have the equipment. So that level 2 commercial charger is available. So as long as we don't have a long procurement time or challenges with the municipality, we can get these in 3 to 4 days. Right? I mean, it just depends again on what each municipality. I'm dealing with one that minimum 14 days before that they can have that done. But again, just want to make sure you guys understand that you have the equipment, you have the knowledge, you have the team, you have the boots on the ground, you have the knowledge. It's all within this company, and we can make this happen very quickly.
Okay, the other half, this is the half question. Is there a built-in sensor system to let us know when the system needs to be serviced or maintained?
Great question. So that's handled in the back-end software. So we'll speak a little bit more to that. You already took your half.
I've got one over here.
We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. Yeah, we'll come back to you. I've been married for 21 years. One question there.
Okay, my question is for, I know we talk a lot about residential installations and commercial. I'm asking at a level where we're trying to get a city installed to change their fleet, the entire like HPD, fire or whatever, the city parking lots. How long would it take, say they agreed, and how long, just give me a little bit of idea on what's the time frame, what's the milestones on that?
So with it being a municipality, that's gonna help with the building permit. They'll be pushing that through a lot faster. The biggest thing would be based on the chargers that they wanna go with and how long the material to supply and where the charger will be going based on if there's adequate power there, what needs to be done to coordinate with utilities. So that's why we want to kind of set that expectation where when it comes to installs, it is really a scenario by scenario. We can give high level kind of timelines, but I hate to tell anybody something that's not true.
permit faster, right?
Usually, yeah. I got one question here and I got one in the back chamber.
Okay.
Let me grab this one. Nick Jones.
Appreciate it. Hey, so this may be a John and Cynthia question, but in the case of the fast chargers, if we have a long lead time, it's a minor question. When do we get paid? Would it be at the time that it's sold, the financing goes through, or installation, or how?
I run to him. See that? The walk coming up, I ran to him. And that's the question I've been waiting on somebody to answer. We're gonna get paid. You know, we're gonna get a go back for that one. So there's two ways to get paid. Actually, it's three. You got our Sequoia loans for commercial, where you can get paid on your own loan origination if you want to be a commercial broker. Step one. Step two, when it comes to the actual like level 3 commercial, level 2 commercial here, that's paid on the following week. So just like the people who bought EV units for Vegas, all their commissions will be this Friday. You follow what I'm saying? So think about it. If you sell a $5,000 package, include install, and you're getting paid $1,000 per commercial unit, what Jamie and Andrew are saying is 100% correct for DC. While your favorite president's trying to do a $500,000 install, we'll sell 1 million units by the time he gets to 50,000. Y'all heard the timeline, right? So you sell from your site today, following Friday you get the commission. If we have to go through a loan process, as soon as it's solid, because that's considered commercial. Commercial is not part of your MLM comp plan. You get 20%, and 5% of that commercial sale goes into all of your 5% owner pool. So if it funds in a loan process, as soon as it's in the account, you get paid that Friday. Okay?
What was the third? Wait,
I'm with you. Okay, number 3, as they say in the South. If they write a check or a wire, you're going to get paid the following Friday. So if the money comes, wire, check. And again, Andrew and Jamie are doing a great job. But when River gets up and talks about what we're doing is, River will tell you right now, we can do 10,000 of these a month.
Yes.
Y'all heard what I said in English, right? Y'all need to give some clap up on that. All right? So that's what I'm saying to you. Jamie and Andrew are geniuses behind install, permits, all that. Y'all gotta love on them. Because you gotta remember, they have the ability to install in all 50 states and they can do home installs. You got no competition when it comes to installs in America right now. And now when River comes up, you're going to find out, well, y'all going to say what happened was, I went to Vegas and found out y'all the top EV company in the world and you don't even know it.
I've got a question over here.
Oh, sorry. Oh, John.
You said something was not in the MLM structure.
Yeah, commercial sales are not a part of network marketing structure. You get paid a 20% finder's fee, and then the rest of it goes into the pool. We do not and cannot, because when you do commercial, we've got to pay Electrify, we got to pay install, we got to pay all the permits. You can't put that in the 55%. Okay? So if we have a $100,000 project that closes that you gave to Ms. King, who's the CEO of our commercial division, and let's say our profit. Go ahead, whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, give Ms. King a whoop, whoop, y'all. So let's say the $100,000 package, we got an $18,000 profit in there, right? So we're going to give you 20% of the $18,000. And then we're going to take and put money into your founder's pool, your owner's pool. So, but what we learned earlier? It doesn't matter if you sell it, you all get paid on everything in this company. Is that cool? That's cool.
Just to clarify, in your back office, you will see the word commercial. Okay? That actually is a package name for that package. So, like, when you see the small business and then the commercial unit, those are just names of just packages. So those still falls into your 5-unit level, 5-level commission plan. So make it very simple. Anything that is in your back office as a product that falls into the comp plan.
And make sure, hold on, my wife got 100% correct, but make sure if you gotta send it to the commercial division, that's not part of your e-commerce package to sell. Is everybody cool and clear on that? Because what'll happen is they'll have to do site survey, all that smart people stuff. Well, hey, now you're incurring processing costs. And that's called commercial. And like my wife said, the commercial package on your site, and where's Sewell? Sewell, let me give you an example. He has 25 Domino's in Hawaii. And he, 25? Oh, 25 Domino's in Hawaii and 21 Domino's in Salt Lake City. Okay? So that is a commercial package outside of the e-commerce pack. Y'all make sense? But you gotta understand something. We love what Sue has done, but he doesn't realize how he's changed all of y'all's life. Because here's the deal. Y'all all get paid 5% on profit of this sale. And again, thank Sue when you see him. Thank you, Sue. But all of y'all can be Sue, okay? Don't rap like he does. But the point is, I'm just saying, you all have those. I'm trying to be cool with this because I get all emotional like Steve Harvey, can't remember Miss Universe's name. I'm trying to explain to you that you already own a multi-trillion-dollar company. I have no interest in you owning a billion-dollar company. Because when River gets finished after Jamie and Andrew, like they say in the South, you front to find something out. Alright? You think Jamie and Andrew, cake top, they the icing. But River is the candle. He's gonna light you up. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, my question was about the software, and you indicated how the software notifies you when the EV charger needs repair, and also the analytics about how frequently it's used. And so, who controls that software? You guys, or we, the owner?
So, what we've done in the past, and I'm going to have to refer back to John on this as well. So, some of the charger management softwares that we've worked with in the past right now is I'm overseeing that. So, we log into a dashboard and I can look at each company where we put in chargers. I can see how many kilowatt hours they consume. I can see how many sessions. I can see if the charger's up, down, available, not available. So that's the way most of your charger management softwares, that's typically the dashboard that looks. As far as the management of it, I would have to refer back to John in this scenario. Where am I going?
River!
I'm going this way. Oh, okay.
Hit the river. Ask River.
We're going to River?
Ask River.
Ask River. River would be able to do the software.
Okay, real quick answer for River. Hello, River. Nice to see you. What's the question again?
How do you manage the back-end software?
Sure. Nice to meet you all.
Likewise.
So the back-end software is very dynamic where you have a login and you can split payment between two parties. So you can dictate drivers, etc. It's very robust. You'll need a training on it. So the back-end software complements everything you're doing with the hardware.
Got a question right here.
Earlier in the presentation, you mentioned 1 hour SLA. What is 1 hour SLA?
So with some of our, Jamie, why don't you go ahead and answer this?
So with that, that's pretty much somebody contacts us, we're making the motion and moving to get that scheduled to get that charger fixed. Now, we have had situations with charger manufacturers where they call us and they have an urgent need. We've actually had boots on the ground within 5 hours of that call, all over the country. So depending on the situation, depends on how fast. With the SLAs, typically a typical service SLA, we receive confirmation that the service needs to be done. We'll get it scheduled in a couple of days, and the service will happen, charge will be back up, and we'll confirm that it's complete.
Yep, thank you.
Ain't here. Ain't here. All right. Mark. She has to hold the mic up. She's not holding it up.
All right, as far as the charging station, if the vehicle pulls up to the charging station, how many manufactured vehicles are going to be able to manage that out? I mean, is there a way where every car is going to be able to hook up to that EV charger?
So River, correct me if I'm wrong, but over-the-wire updates for new vehicles that come over, usually done later in the evenings. And when those new vehicles are hitting the ISO 1554, whatever it is, takes into account and it allows that those new vehicles are able to charge onto the charging equipment, correct? So that's an over-the-wire update that the whole industry is given. So they'll know, I mean, River's company's gonna know what cars are gonna be released that day, that week, that month, and through their back-end solution, they'll already have it upgraded. So when they start to make those sales, they're gonna hit the button, and it's gonna do an over-the-wire update, so that any of the vehicles that are coming in will be able to charge on that unit. Mr. J.D.?
He left you.
Yeah, that's G. No, just kidding. Hold on. We need to, I want to get off this slide real quick. I'm really almost done. He's got the clicker. You're going right there. Right.
And we have one more question over here.
Are you the people that I would ask the question on in regards to the home charging unit?
You can ask us any question. We'll
Okay. I just enrolled a new owner last night late, and
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. She had a question in regards to the charging units for the home. First of all, if it's a mobile home, can they use it? That's question one. And second question is, of the products that we have overall, is there a radiation output?
So, radiation, that's good. And questions about the charger, I'm gonna refer to River and his presentation later. When it comes to a mobile home charger, absolutely. There's no reason why we wouldn't be able to put a level 2 charger at a home. I've done it. There has been situations where they didn't have they were sharing the power potentially throughout the whole mobile complex. So we did have to add a separate line and a separate meter just for the electric vehicle charger, that mobile home specifically. Because they were drawing power from all the community and it didn't have the ability to charge for us to put the required 240 breaker. So we did have to add a sub meter.
So then if I understand that correctly, the answer to it working in a mobile home depends on the amount of electricity that is available to the mobile home park.
You queued me up properly. So this is the panel up in the mobile home, okay?
Yeah.
So they have a panel box. See these panels?
Yeah.
That's all open. On level 2, I'm potentially gonna take these two. So as long as they don't have these breakers, every one of these, they're gonna have availability.
I got you, so as long as the power box is not already full.
As long as the power box is not already full.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Congratulations again. Joseph, on this side, you have a quick question? I want to do 2 more questions and then I want to get through the rest of it. This is a very important portion. And I don't want to take up all my time on this. I want to get through these next couple slides. And I love talking to you, but we do have to get through them real quickly.
Thank you so much. We're here in Las Vegas and we get up 115, 120 degrees. So I was wondering, how does this equipment operate in extreme heat situations?
That's going to be a great question for River. They work. They absolutely work. There are dynamics that go into effect, but I'm going to leave that directly to him. So let's say you have a customer that's already decided that they're going to go ahead and go with your product. What are some things that you need to grab? You want this?
Sure.
You want a secure copy of the property site plan from the site host. You want to schedule a meeting with that site host, meaning that contact that site host says he's going to be responsible or she's going to be responsible. You need to get that information, right? We need to have somebody who's going to be able to let us into that electrical room when we get there. We're going to want to have somebody that when our electrician comes to the location with you, that we have everything we need, meaning site plan, meaning we can get into the electrical box, we can get into the electrical room and find out if they have the room. When we start doing the site survey, we're going to find out how far it is from the panel to where there doesn't. They may want the chargers on the other side of the building. That might not be the best place. So we're going to show them the design that they want, and we're going to show them a design that's going to be economical to them installing this equipment. We want to annotate in our descriptions if it's a parking garage or a parking lot. We're going to want to annotate the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Now, I can't stress this enough. There's a difference between the site plan and the built as information. So they have a plan that they want to build this building this way. It didn't go that way. So they will have an actual build plan that they develop. This is where it actually, this is where it was proposed, and this is where it actually went. We need where it actually went. So asking that question is going to cut down on those times that we have to decide how long it's going to take to put that stuff in. We're going to find panels. We're going to determine whether or not they need to have an upgrade that we talked about. And we're going to take photographs of everything. Because what's going to look better when you go back to that site contact or that person that's going to make that decision? They're going to say, well, what does that mean? Oh, that's this picture right here, what I'm talking about. What does that mean that you just said, oh, that's this picture right here. This is the run that you say you wanted that, but I'm going to save you $10,000 by putting it here. All right? So we want pictures of everything. And we're going to get pictures of everything, and we're going to put it into the file so that you have that access. Next. Jay, would you mash it? Mash it. You might have heard me say earlier about what vehicles everybody's designed differently. Level 2, the Audi can do it 9.6. The BMW can only do it 7.4. So if they have a fleet of BMWs, do they need a 120 kilowatt DC fast charger? Maybe. But do they need level 2 chargers that run 12 kilowatts or 15 kilowatts or 19.2? You might run, no, you don't, because they cannot charge at that speed. You will run into somebody that says, hey, I met with this group and they said I need 5 19.2 kilowatt chargers. And you look at them and say, what kind of cars you got? They're like, I got BMWs. And you say, well, did you realize the BMW max charge is only 7.5 and the difference between a 12 kilowatt charger and a 19.2 kilowatt charger is a couple $1,000? No, I didn't know that. So that's why this stuff is important. What made us successful is Jamie's a car guy. We'll just say I'm a car guy. Jamie's a car guy, but he opened my eyes to that. When I walk into a room and I know exactly what the specs are and the vehicles that they have in fleet, and I match them to the chargers that they really need, sure makes a lot of sense to them. Again, they learned more in 30 minutes with y'all, than they did in 2.5 hours in that large company that's putting them up, trying to put them up all over the place. Next slide, please. Incentives, there's tons, guys, gals, there's tons. You gotta go to the Department of Energy, all right? You go to the Department of Energy, put it at DOE, electric vehicle charging grants. You're gonna find hundreds. DERA, you're gonna find hundreds, DERA. But the most thing I want you to do is Department of Energy, DOE, EVSE, grants and incentives. Put it inside your search box, your Google box. That's going to take you to the Department of Energy. You will have all the fact sheets that you need. You'll have a description of every grant that's out there and available. You'll know how much is available for that grant, how much has been spent. So you can say to the customer, hey, you might want to move fast. Why? Because they had $1 million in that area, but now they've only got $430,000, and your bill right now, sir, is about 15, maybe 100. So if I can get you going quickly, it'll help you make that decision. Oh yeah, so it's not so much a URL, but in your search box, Department of Energy, DOE, Department of Energy, electric vehicle charging incentives, electric vehicle charging grants. It's going to put you in a data sheet. It's going to put you into a fact-finding sheet and give you all the information that you require. I get calls all the day. They think I'm a genius. They're like, hey, how did you know all this stuff? I'm such a heck. Department of Energy incentives, grants. I look like a genius.
Say it again over this way. Those alphabets.
So in your search bar, you want to put Department of Energy, DOE, electric vehicle charging grants and incentives. It's going to take you to the Department of Energy. You're going to have a map that shows the whole United States. You click on that state box, wherever it is on the map. It'll pull up the electric providers in that area and all their incentives. So maybe you don't need to call every electric department that you're working with, because the information's going to be there. It's going to show you every grant in that state. It's going to go over all the money and the funding that's available for that grant. And there are hundreds. Department of Energy, I mean, gosh, there's the DERA funds, the Volkswagen litigation, all of this information is there. You're going to look like a genius when you pull that stuff up. Hey, did you know that you're available to this? Hey, did you know that if you apply for this, this is what you could potentially get, what the advantages are? It's going to make people move. They're going to be like, you know what? I like you. You gave me great information. You showed me where I can find money. Let's try to get this applied for. What do you need for apply? Oh, what do you need? You need a site plan. You need an idea of how long it's going to take. You have to have all the information about how much it's going to cost. That puts you into the position to get all these things moving. Once they have that information, you get it back to them, they apply, they're going to get the grant. Who are they going to come back to?
Everybody, please, I want you to think about this, because this is one of the things that, no disrespect, Jamie, we love you too, but Andrew's really giving you what I'm training on tomorrow. Okay? The training I'm doing tomorrow is Millionaire EV Roadmap. That's your training tomorrow. This is the first part of the training. And I want to make sure everybody writes this down, or share it with your guests, or share it with your friends. You're literally, and I know what's there, but do you know how much money the total giveaway is? $5 trillion. That's why, look, if you got to go. How much of it has already been spent? Zero. Look, this is me. We have not even rehearsed this. I know this is Lauren Harding, but I'm just saying, we have not rehearsed this. Tomorrow when I do training, I'm teaching you how to get access to $5 trillion of grants that nobody is promoting. And I see y'all getting tired, gotta go to the bathroom, I see all that. I'm telling you right now, this is the training tomorrow. And let me give it back to him. I just want y'all to make sure, write it down,
And could you repeat how much it is again?
Just in Biden bucks, $5 trillion.
Biden bucks.
Biden bucks. And everything else that I'm telling you, Department of Energy, natural resources, infrastructure, all these are separate grants. $5 trillion is just what people are trying to go after now. There's grant money out there, millions of dollars, that nobody even knows about. Nobody even knows about. Guess who's learning about it right now? So, again, Department of Energy, please, y'all, it's very, very simple. It is clear. It's, even a 5-year-old can understand it, because I need to even reiterate it to you. So check it out tonight. Seriously, before you go in there, you're not going to be, there's not a lot. It's all cut and clear. Just look through it. It's going to give you some links. Check out some of those main links. Biden infrastructure, grants, Department of Energy. It's your biggest tool, period.
So we're at the end, and I didn't realize this when me and Cynthia was put this is the early PowerPoint. So the one thing that I would think you need to talk about before our time's up is our mobile unit. Do you have a picture of it? I do not, but I can get one while you start talking.
One thing I'd like to talk to you about, and this is personally something very important to me. So 18 months ago, I was reached out to some very influential people that are in the propane and renewable propane and renewable gasoline and renewable diesel and renewable natural gas. And they were like, guys, we got to get a charger that I can drive to a location, because I've got people that are Lyft drivers that are switching to electric vehicles, and they're going to the airport, and they need to charge between that, right? So we were asked, because we're known in the industry, and these guys came to us, the organization, they were like, how do we use propane to charge an electric vehicle? Because we want to be off grid. In California, what happens when the power goes down? You ain't gonna charge your car, right? It's already really expensive for electricity in California and this side of the country. What if we were using renewables? What if we were using something that lowered the emissions? Not only are you driving a car that has zero emission, but you gotta remember that the power to charge that car came from somewhere. And where I'm from, most of it's coal-fired plants. Right? You guys are great, you guys got some water turbines, things of that nature, hydro plants, but they turned us off. You have brownouts. During the holidays, I think it was late last year, they asked people not to charge their cars because they were concerned that it was going to pull too much of it from the grid. Yeah. Is it up there yet? So, in anticipation, we developed an electric vehicle charger that runs on renewables, that runs on propane, renewable propane, which is propane that is made from a byproduct. In Georgia, we have a lot of chicken farms. A lot of chicken farms have a lot of waste, and that waste is methane. And to create methane, there's two properties in there, hydrogen. And if you derive the hydrogen and separate the molecules, you can create propane. That's renewable propane. So now we are taking a waste that would send methane up into the air. We capture it, right? We run it through a filtration process, and now it's propane. That's net zero, people. On the carbon intensity scale, that's not a zero, that's a negative. Because you're taking something that already exists, you're turning it into a fuel, right? So now, there's grants out there for people that do that. So for every gallon of propane that you use to fuel a vehicle, you get 50 cents back on the dollar. These grants happen every year. So, do we have the picture yet? Dying here. So we've got the portable unit. You can drive it. You can pull it with a trailer. I sold one to a very large OEM that runs it's a 360 kilowatt charger. It's 42 feet long. They're gonna be using this charger to find out how long they can drive their electric trucks at full load on the routes that they're currently using. They trailer it right behind the truck. Wow. So they say that they can do 75, 150 miles on a full load. Well, what happens if they actually can only go 90? It's not gonna make it. So they're using our equipment to trailer it to find out exactly how far they can go. And then when they find out that it's exit 20 and not exit 25 that they can get to, they're going back to exit 16 and they're putting in a DC fast charger. Right? So now they know that on full load they're going to make it to their next charge. And if they don't, they got somebody that has to pull that trailer up to them and say, come on, folks. And they're going to be running these routes. I was on the race across America. It was an all EV race from the Bronx to California, right? And I drove behind it. I charged people in Cleveland on the side of the highway, on a bend, with a turn, worst place you could be. But we were able to charge them there. They were dead, they were zero. Jamie, where are we at? He's trying. Needless to say, you're going to get a picture up there. This is available to you. We're moving into hydrogen, folks. I think I heard something about hydrogen over there. Hydrogen fuel cell. I'm fighting with the Department of Energy right now, trying to get this charger set up to be 80% to 100% refundable, basically rebate. Because you'd be able to say, I'm going to put this in, I'm going to set it on the side of the road. Not only am I going to do this for these people, but I can run offshore power out of three-phase 480 power. So, what happens when a hurricane happens? People aren't going to be able to charge at their house. They're going to have enough to get to the city outlines. We're going to put that there. Now, you've got the people that have electric vehicles being able to charge there, and they're going to be able to get to the area where it's safe. They're going to have enough range. But now we can take that same spot where we told people to go charge, and we can set up makeshift tents. And we can provide power at those makeshift tents. And we can make sure that every person that needs something refrigerated, or needs a drink, or needs some clothes, or just needs to get out of the sun, or needs to get somewhere to let their kids run around a little bit. We're going to be able to have these availabilities, and what we look at is we call it disaster relief, right? Evacuation routes. What happens with those people when those communities do buy those, and they have a taste of the town coming up on Friday? There's no charging there. They can take what they were using for evacuation release, and it's not an evacuation situation, it's just an island that they're going to have a party at. But they can put that charger there this weekend, and then next week they can take it over to the beach. Or the weekend after that, they can take it over to this function where they have a whole bunch of people that are wanting to change the environment. They all drive electric cars, but there's only 2 level 2 chargers there. We can take that there, we can charge them on DC fast. No left. Who has a quick question? I know we're getting close. It's beautiful, guys. When you see it, you're gonna freak out. It's really neat.
Yeah, they built that. A question. You guys have a tremendous amount of knowledge. Is there any way to get a training manual? And number 2, when we go up to a potential customer, and we have a list of questions that we can ask them just to see if it makes sense?
Cynthia! So Cynthia and I have been working on this. We're going to have something available to you. It's going to be dynamic. It's going to be the ability for you to change the right? That's the EV Power Pod. So this is currently this configuration. I've traveled over 41,000 miles in this bad boy. I've gone all over the country. I've gone to events. Jamie, what are some of the events we've done?
We've done Petite Le Mans in Georgia.
That's a race.
24-hour race. We've had a EV corral provided by the utility provider there, Jackson EMC. We pulled this unit in, and we're really, and just literally like a carousel of EVs coming in, hitting this charger, rolling out, parking, going. We've been to multiple power providers. We've been to
We're doing Masters.
Yeah, the Masters will be there this year. We are working with multiple Class A truck manufacturers for this.
School buses. So let's look at this real quick. This application, you have a PT, you have a PTA group, right? And our schools need money, right? They all do. What if we did a crowdfunding event, right? What if we were able to take this to the school that doesn't have electric vehicle charging at their location, and we have the parents that are driving EV come out, be able to charge, and a percentage of that goes back to the school, right? Not only that, the fuel that they're using we're able to get money back for them, and we can increase their ROI. We can do crowdfunding events where all those families who know that money's going to go back to the PTA and eventually it's going to go back to the school, they can offset the cost, right? They can rent these things out because school buses aren't going during the weekends. So they can go they already have a relationship with their community, so they can put these chargers anywhere. And the PTA is going to get a pretty piece of that. School board's going to get a piece of that, right?
So Andrew, do you need a pad mount transformer and switchgear for this?
You don't? Hey Jamie, do you need permits?
Nope.
Jamie, on a 100-foot run of a DC fast charger with a 2-port system, is this at all comparable to that?
Very comparable.
Oh, okay. So it takes us 6 months to build one of these, right?
Yep.
So if we're having issues in our supply chain, and we can tell people that we can get this available and they're off and running in 6 months, I think that would be acceptable.
And what fuel does it run on?
It runs on 5 different fuels. So you're going to have big groups that, believe it or not, there's people out here that buy these and use diesel. So we did a dual fuel. We said, okay, you want to use it for diesel, but I want you to know that I'm really selling it to you because it can use biodiesel, right? So I don't blame people that have been buying millions of gallons of diesel a day and wanting to switch to a new form of transportation. That shit doesn't happen overnight, right? But when you start saying, hey, you can pull the diesel out of your truck and run your DC fast charger if you run out of fuel, that makes sense to me. I've got a company right now that wants to book my next 2 years of production for this. So much so that's 129 chargers that are going to be developed and built and delivered by December 31st of 2024. But back to the manufacturer, who we are a national provider of this product and responsible for all the service of these equipment. So anytime they go wrong, they call me. They call Jamie.
So I just got told we've got about 3 minutes left. So the one thing I would like for you to talk about is what's the carbon footprint on this?
Oh, yeah. It's a lot better than electric vehicles. Well, it's a lot better than electric that you can get on the transmission lines. The electric transmission is right around a 26 on the carbon intensity scale. That's a negative 43. Did I say negative? Yeah, I said negative. It's a negative 43 on the carbon footprint. This is available to you through your group. We're actually going to change the world because we're going to move into hydrogen fuel cell. You guys are involved in that, right? Holy cannoli! You guys have now got a unit that not only you can supply equipment to people faster and get people charging quicker, you can also supply the propellant that makes it happen. And for you, sir, mic drop.
And one other thing, the largest one we have right now that's in production is using a 360 kilowatt charger.
Oh, wow.
And we can go to a megawatt.
So this is why y'all gotta give Jamie and give Andrew a hand. There you go. You guys gotta give it up for these guys. And this is what's important because again, we're gonna be the company selling this platform to everybody. Think about it. How many chickens does KFC kill a year? If we could buy all the chicken poop from KFC farms, we could power the entire United States. So with that being said, chicken poop is money. It's called urea, and I want to see it. Okay? So I mean, this is why y'all get a lot of surprises today. I mean, I know poor River, my favorite. I'll tell brother, I know he didn't expect all this. But bottom line is, think about it. Everything you look at is coming from you as owners. You do not have competition, and you've not even seen our solar product yet. You haven't even seen it yet. So let's pass it over to our MC and give Andrew and give David a hand.
Man, today is phenomenal. I just, one of the owners leaned over, they said, this is like a lot of information. I'm like, absolutely.
Tip of the iceberg, but you're gonna know it all.
Absolutely. So remember, if you have additional questions, write them down. We will get those questions answered as long as you have them on your index card, okay? I'm just going to take a moment to thank a couple of folks. Cynthia Henderson, Sunday, RV, Carolyn, Duncan, Teresa Thomas, Melissa, and Eileen. These ladies we didn't ask for it, but they hopped up and helped with registration today. Just jumped in there, so thank you, you are so appreciated. And that's what our founder has been saying, just put your hands in there, roll your sleeves up, and let's get this done properly. So thank you so much.